Hello and welcome to the 250, your weekly podcast looking at the IMDb's top 250 movies of all time, and sometimes, particularly at Halloween, the bottom 100 movies as well. I'm your host, Darren Mooney, and joining me for this conversation, as always, is my co-host, Andrew Quinn. How are you, Andrew?
I'm doing very good. Thank you, Darren. How are you getting on?
I have to admit, I must have been into computers, this guy, you know? I just seem like a guy who would be into computers. Yes, we are talking about William Malone's 2002 horror, cyber horror, nightmare, monstrosity movie, because it's Halloween, it's spooky season. And joining us for this discussion is the fantastic Diamanda Hagen. How are you, Diamanda?
I am very, very fine. I'm doing well, although I did watch FearDotCom recently, and it was terrible.
Yes, I want to ask you this, right? So how this conversation came about is you and I, well, we've interacted on Twitter a couple of times, which feels appropriate for the movie that we're discussing today. But we kind of bounced back and forth. We've had a couple of conversations online. You're somebody who knows horror cinema inside and out. You run, obviously, your YouTube channel, Hagen Reviews, as well. And
I got mentioned in an academic book about horror, modern horror. Ooh. Bafflingly, I haven't got a copy of the book though, so I can't remember the name of it.
but like you're somebody who knows like your stuff inside and out. So I was like, it would be great to have. It's always great to have somebody on the podcast who knows what they're talking about, because myself and Andrew have no idea. But I was like, it'd be great to talk to you about a movie. Would you like to talk about a movie? Here's all the movies we haven't covered. And I did give you what we call the good list, the list with good movies on it that we haven't covered. And I also gave you the bad list. And I think you got back fairly quickly with FearDotCom, if I remember correctly.
Yes, although that was only because Jeffrey Combs is in it and he is my favorite actor, and that is all I need to watch a film is Jeffrey Combs.
So you are a big William Malone fan, because Malone has this recurring relationship with Combs, right? Where the two of them have worked together repeatedly throughout their careers, right?
I wouldn't call myself a William Malone fan. I would say that I've seen 3 of his films, and like one of them is about a third of the way towards decent.
Do I want to
But Combs does turn up.
He does reliably. Can I ask, right, so which of those 3 is, was it a quarter of the way towards decent? Was that the metric we used?
About a third of the way. That is the House on Haunted Hill remake. I mean, it's got definite elements that are really good, but it completely devolves into basically a goth version of Jan de Bont's Haunting remake towards the end.
Jan de Bont.
Yes.
The bottom 100's Jan de Bont.
Yes.
I'm Jan de Bont.
The
world to know.
Like the Haunting, the House on Haunted Hill remake, it has some sections which are really, really good. Like there's one of my favorite movie scares of all time is in there. You got this woman going through this, she's in this terrible asylum in the basement, walking through, she's filming it.
Yeah.
And then through the camera, she can see these guys, Jeffrey Combs as a ghost, vivisecting this person with some other ghost. And then she puts her camera down, and you can see there's nothing there. And it's timed perfectly that the ghosts are only there in the camera and they're there when moving. And then they start looking at her and start interacting. And it's all done in camera. She's clearly got a footage of the camera filmed previously, but it's done perfectly. And it's like, damn, William Malone, you managed to do stuff like that, but then you do the rest of your career.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we'll talk about this when we talk about, like, FearDotCom, the movie we are ostensibly here to talk about in a moment. But there is kind of, like, I watched for this because I am a sadist, because I feel like subjecting myself to the torture of the Doctor or whatever. I did watch House on Haunted Hill to prepare for this, and it's weird how, like, Malone has these weird obsessions that he has that play through his films, like mediated reality.
And, creepy rubber balls.
Yes. Like, and like surgery, but without anesthetic. Like, it's a very specific set of directorial tropes that William Malone has that he just keeps coming back to.
It's like Jimmy Screamer Claws in his eyeballs.
Yeah, it's very much like I have these things that I'm interested in. And what is it? Is it like Nolan's obsession with time, Spielberg's obsession with absent dads? Like, no, I just really like seeing women getting cut up on gurneys without anesthetics. Like, oh, okay, all right.
And Jeffrey Rush.
And Jeffrey Combs as well.
That's true. Yeah.
I was trying to think of Spielberg examples of women getting cut up on gurneys without anesthetics. There are women getting cut up on gurneys, but they're like dead, right? Where
That would make Hook so much more interesting.
Because the Jaws is technically a woman,
yes,
right?
That's a good point, actually. Although, to be fair, I don't think it quite reaches the level of directorial obsession.
No. He didn't do the second, third, or fourth one. It's like, will it be a female shark? Will we be cutting it up on a gurney? No.
But can I? That's actually a very good point. Well done, Andrew. So can I ask, actually, having like you mentioned the reason that you were drawn to Fear.com is as a Jeffrey Combs fan, and myself and Andrew are both. Well, I am a huge Jeffrey Combs fan, in large part because I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and obviously Reanimator and everything like that as well. Like he's a huge part of kind of my childhood, and an actor I'm always glad to see.
And then in the modern kids all like him because of his voice work. You know, very distinctive, but also very varied voice. Really talented guy. Unfortunately, he tends to gravitate towards bullshit. You know, film-wise.
He does indeed. Like, it's weird that this is his big creative partnership. It's like, my big creative partnership is William Malone.
Also Stuart Gordon.
Does he work? He does work with Gordon as well, right?
He was, Reanimator, From Beyond, and Castle Freak. I think he might have been in something. He was supposed to be in his Dagon as well, but that fell through. He was supposed to be in his Dreams in the Witch House as well, and that fell through. But yeah, he's got an off and on thing with Stuart Gordon.
Yeah. And I mean, it is worth noting that his relationship with Malone does go back to The Exile, which was a TV episode of Perversions of Science, which is a show that I didn't even know existed until I began researching this podcast.
I haven't seen it, but there's a copy of the entire series on YouTube, and I've been meaning to watch it.
Okay, all right. Well, then let us know. I'm going to defer to you on that one. One of us is going to venture into that. Can I ask, was it your love of Jeffrey Combs that brought you to Fear.com originally, or did you encounter it in the wild? Did you see it on original release? How did you first see the movie we're talking about today?
If I recall correctly, it was around the time it came out, and I was informed that the film existed and it was just really, really terrible. And I think I'd probably seen the House on Haunted Hill remake a couple of years earlier, and so that was vague interest. I saw it at some point after that, and then basically I forgot about it until I saw it in the list. And then I watched it last week because I thought we were doing this last week, and so then I watched it for that. And again, it sort of evacuated my mind, which is probably the greatest blessing I've got, that I cannot retain this film. I can retain the basics of it, but that's about it. It is wonderful.
You are perhaps living a blissed existence compared to at least myself and Andrew, to be fair. A blessed existence. But
I don't know yet whether it's going to stay in my mind, because I've literally just finished watching it.
Yeah.
Because the plan was to watch it last night. And then I got like about 15 minutes in, and I was like, all right, that's enough. I can pick this up tomorrow. So then it was like during lunchtime watching again, like a little, like part of it, and then going back to work, finishing work and being like, okay, no, I can finish this. And then not finishing it. Then going for a drive and coming back and watching the final like 10 or 15 minutes. So it's always a sign of a good,
good movie. Sorry, did you remember?
I started watching it on my phone as well. It's like
it was meant to be watched.
Yeah. It's like the time we did.
Someone should buy Fear.com, the actual URL, and just stream it constantly there.
You know this story, by the way, do you?
I know that they tried to buy the rights for Fear.com to put it in the film, and they couldn't. That's why they had Fear.com as a word in the film, and it looks like they didn't know what USBs were.
Yeah. They meant to buy Fear.com, but the people who own that domain would not sell it for any amount of money, which I have to imagine is just within the budget of the film. So in the website, you'll notice that the characters have to type the word Fear.com, FEARDOTCOM, and then .com at the end.
Yeah,
so it's Fear.com.
Fear.com. Did they try to buy...
Sorry.
It's funny, but it's also realistic because, if someone was going to come up with a crazy, serial killing website that murdered people, someone else with the URL that they want would already have it, and, they wouldn't be able to get it. So this makes it weirdly realistic.
Yeah, it's the big tech companies kind of ruin it for all the kind of serial killers out there.
Low tech entrepreneurs,
Yeah, just kind of parking on those a great, like it's the next unicorn. Is FearDotCom. We just don't know what it is yet. Did they try to buy FearDotCom?
Fear
as well.
Fear.org wasn't quite as compelling. Fear.co.uk, unfortunately.
What a fear.gov.
I mean, like that. I feel like that's what the movie's.
It's .biz, presumably.
Fear.biz. That's what the movie's missing. It's without. I mean, the movie doesn't bother concealing the identity of its serial killer. It is the character of Pratt, played by Stephen Rea, and we'll come back to that. But I'm disappointed that there aren't a solid 5 minutes of Stephen Rea on the phone trying to register Fear.com in his highly, highly questionable American accent.